Welcome to my YouTube channel Bachelor and Master English. Today we are talking about the Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson. Okay, if you are new to my channel or if you have not subscribed my channel, I request you to subscribe my channel, and if you think this video is worth watching, please don't forget to like, share and comment on it. Okay, let's go with the introduction of this discussion. Thomas Jefferson, born in 1793 and passed away in 1826, is best known for drafting the document, the Declaration of Independence, that was in 1776. The substance of the document was prepared by the committee, but Jefferson was assigned the task of writing document in actual form. As Jefferson was a great scholar in political philosophy and rhetoric, law and justice, mastery over style and language, he was assigned the task for completion of the document. He composed the document in such a style that it became one of the most memorable statements in American history. Jefferson was a lawyer, the third president of the USA. He worked as the Secretary of the State, Vice President as well. He was well versed in classics, widely remarked and remembered for his grandiloquent style and rhetoric. Okay, this is all about the discussion of this writer and the text itself, and here is point-wise ideas. Jefferson declares his argument about their independence from the colonial Britain. God made all equal and gave them the rights of life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. The main business or function of government is to protect these rights. If government tries to withhold these rights, the people are free to revolt and to set up a new government. Jefferson mentions the functions of government as government derives the power from the consent of the governed. Its prime duty is to first preserve the rights of people. If it fails to carry out the duties, the government has no right to be in power. If government ignores people, abuses their rights and turns to be despotic, such government is to be thrown off. British rule, King George was guilty. British ruler King George was guilty of many abuses, altogether 26 charges. He had interfered with the rights of the US people for a self-government and had levied taxes on colonists and stopped them from free trading. That's why his rule is to be thrown off from the US. Point number 3. From paragraph 3 to 29, Jefferson enumerates the causes, that is in total 27 paragraph. All causes are serious that one alone could cause a revolution. And it shows the facets of the colonies up to this point. Essentially taken together, the argument is that Great Britain has not treated the colonies fairly, and this drive for independence because of a state of war between Great Britain and the going on for more than a year. The core problem was the being governed from across the ocean by people who had next to zero familiarity with the land. Being governed was utterly impractical and the sources of numerous damaging policies. Here is summary of the text. The Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson. The Declaration of Independence is a document that was prepared to justify the declaration why the American colonies should break away from British and declare their independence. The entire essay consists of 4 parts. The preamble mission statement states that the colonists believe it necessary to explain why they are declaring their independence from Great Britain, so they have written this document. In the next part or second part, Jefferson explains the political ideas behind their action on broad philosophical grounds, which he borrowed from French and British thinkers of the era, a time in history known as the Enlightenment. We are all endowed by God with natural rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their society and happiness. It states clearly what sovereign rights we enjoy for selecting or overthrowing our rules. We also have the right to remove any government that doesn't respect those rights and one that does. The third point, and the longest one itself, part lists all the charges against the King George III, who has utterly failed to secure the unalienable rights as such as his rule needs to be thrown off by US people. A long list of grievances against King George III clearly shows that his atrocities, injustice, inhuman acts, and despotism has reached the apex of dissatisfaction. Among other things, he has persistently undermined attempts by the American colonies to set up legislative institutions. He has also levied taxes without the colonies' consent. Even worse, he has undermined the nation's security by, among other outrageous acts, confiscating American ships and hiring foreign mercenaries, especially French mercenaries. The fourth one, or the final part of the essay, lists all the rights that the new nation is claiming for itself. When the petition for redress was answered with injury that justified the separation from British rule. This act of British government further justified the separation. The British people too remain deaf to the voices of justice and kinship. The American colonists have made repeated attempts to reach an amicable settlement with the British, but they have all been denied with contempt. Owing to this, US people from 13 states thereby unitedly declared their independence from the rule of Great Britain once and for all. In doing so, they have established a new nation that is to be called the United States of America. Okay, let's talk about this essay in Nepali. स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा अर्थात् अमेरिकी स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा भनेर बुझ्छौँ यसलाई। यो टमस जेफरसनको एउटा राजनीतिक दस्तावेज हो। अमेरिकी इतिहासको एउटा महत्त्वपूर्ण दस्तावेज मध्ये यसलाई लिइन्छ। यसको लेखन अमेरिकाका सुप्रसिद्ध विद्वान लेखक राजनीतिज्ञ टमस जेफरसनले गरेका थिए। स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा भनेको अमेरिकी स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा हो। यहाँ यसको विषयवस्तु एउटा समितिमा छलफल गरेर तय गरिएको थियो। पछि जेफरसनलाई यसको अन्तिम रूप दिने जिम्मा दिइयो। उनको साहित्य, राजनीति, दर्शन, कानुनको अथाह ज्ञान र लेखनको आलङ्कारिक शैलीले गर्दा यो दस्तावेज विश्वको बौद्धिक, ऐतिहासिक, साहित्यिक, राजनीतिक, कूटनैतिक, कानुनी लगायतका क्षेत्रमा सारा चर्चाको विषय बन्न पुगेको छ। विशेष गरी विश्वको इतिहासमा स्वतन्त्रताको जुन एउटा आन्दोलन हुन्छ जहाँ ठाउँ ठाउँमा त्यहाँ स्वतन्त्रताको आन्दोलन गर्ने मान्छेहरूले अब अन्तिम दस्तावेज तयार पार्ने बेलामा त्यहाँ चाहिँ यो टमस जेफरसनको यो अमेरिकी स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा अथवा स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा निबन्धको चाहिँ उनीहरूले अध्ययन गरेकै हुन्छ। आन्दोलनको पक्षमा आफ्नो वक्तव्य दिनको लागि चाहिँ उनीहरूले यो निबन्धको धेरै अध्ययन गरे हुन्छ। एउटा इतिहास र राजनीति अनि समय परिवेश बुझ्नको लागि जुनसुकै देशका नागरिकहरूले पनि यो दस्तावेजको अध्ययन गर्नु अपरिहार्य हुने भएको हुनाले अब यहाँ चाहिँ मैले चर्चा गर्न कोसिस गरेँ हो। यो नेपालमा अब कहिले यसलाई पाठ्यक्रममा राखिया हुन्छ, कहिले राखिँदैन। अब जे होस्, यहाँ चाहिँ चर्चा चाहिँ मैले के गर्न खोजेको भने यो पाठ्यक्रममा होस् या नहोस्, स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा एउटा महत्त्वपूर्ण दस्तावेज हो, चर्चा योग्य विषय हो। त्यसो भएर मैले यहाँ चाहिँ एउटा यसको भिडियो बनाएर तपाईँहरू समक्ष हाले हो, खास अरू केही पनि छैन। यो उपनिवेशवाद, प्रति उपनिवेशवाद, राष्ट्रिय पहिचान, स्वतन्त्रता, मानवाधिकार, राज्यको काम कर्तव्य अधिकार, मानिसका अन्तर्निहित अधिकारहरू, सरकारको खारेजी वा उन्मूलन गरेको अवस्था जस्ता विषयहरू यस निबन्धका चर्चाका विषय हुन्। यो दस्तावेजले जेफरसनलाई एक उच्च शैली विज्ञ, आफ्नो समयको एक सशक्त निबन्ध लेखकको रूपमा स्थापित गरेको छ। उनको यो लेखलाई ऐतिहासिक, कालजयी र सशक्त लेख रचनाको सूचीमा समावेश गरिएको छ। भावुक शैलीमा जेफरसनले अमेरिकाहरू समान अवसरबाट वञ्चित हुनु परेको दुखेसो पोख्छन्। जीवन, स्वतन्त्रता र सुख समृद्धिको खोजी बारे अमेरिकी जनतालाई अवसर नदिनु कहाँसम्म जायज हुन्छ भने उनी प्रश्न गर्छन्। उनीहरूले सारा ज्यादती, अत्याचार, अन्याय, हिंसा, अमानवीय क्रूरता, दयाहीनता सबै सहेका छन्। सबै बेलायती उपनिवेशले अमेरिकीहरूमाथि गरेको अमानवीयता, क्रूरता र ज्यादती अनि स्वेच्छाचारिता, तानाशाहीपनले दिनहुँ शिकार बनाएको अमेरिकी जनतालाई अब अमेरिकीहरू बेलायती उपनिवेशको जन्जिर चुडाल्न तत्पर छन्। बेलायतीहरूले अति साह्रो भ्रष्टाचार, अत्याचार, अन्याय, ज्यादती, अपमान र अनि समान अवसरको खोज्ने अथवा भेदभावको नीति अपनाउने, अनि त्यसमा फेरि जातीय कुराहरूलाई पनि उत्तिकै चाहिँ एउटा नस्लको कुराहरूलाई पनि बढी ध्यान दिने र जुन न्याय पाउने अधिकारको चाहिँ सुनवाई गर्ने जुन जहाँसुकै गर्नु छ त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ कति वास्तै नगर्ने, यस्तो चाहिँ विरुद्धमा काम गरेको हुनाले सुख समृद्धि, स्वतन्त्रता, जीवन विरुद्ध मनपरी गरे। अब सहन सक्ने दिनहरू गए। तेस्रोको पाला बहुत चाहिँ अमेरिकाले धेरै दुःख पाए। उनीहरूको सहनशीलताको बाँध टुट्न लाग्यो। अमेरिकाले बेलायती साम्राज्यको उपनिवेश बसिरहनु उपयुक्त छैन भनेर उनीहरूले एउटा चाहिँ निर्णय गरे। अनि 13वटा राज्यले बेलायती उपनिवेशवाद विरुद्ध अलग्गिएर स्वतन्त्र हुने स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणा गरे। आज अमेरिकामा 50 स्वतन्त्र राज्य भए पनि 4 जुलाई 1776 यो जुन दस्तावेजमा हस्ताक्षर गर्ने बेलामा 13वटा मात्र राज्य बेलायती उपनिवेशबाट मुक्त हुने स्वतन्त्रताको घोषणामा सहभागी भएका थिए। निरङ्कुश बेलायती उपनिवेशको अन्त्यको सुरुवात त्यस घोषणासहित भएको मानिन्छ। निरङ्कुशता, अत्याचार, अन्याय, यातनाको सहन गर्दै अमेरिकी औपनिवेशिक शासनलाई सहँदा उनीहरूमा अधैर्यताको सीमा नाग्यो र जनरल कङ्ग्रेसमा भेला भएका संयुक्त राज्य अमेरिकाका प्रतिनिधिहरूले संयुक्त उपनिवेशहरू स्वतन्त्र राज्य हुनुपर्छ, बेलायतको मुकुटप्रतिको श्रद्धा अथवा बाध्यताबाट मुक्त भएसँगै ग्रेट ब्रिटेनसँगका सारा सम्बन्धहरू स्वतः समाप्त गरेको घोषणा गर्दै स्वतन्त्र राष्ट्रहरू जसरी यिनीहरू युद्ध छेड्न, शान्ति कायम गर्न, वाणिज्य सम्झौता चलाउन र अरू सारा ती स्वतन्त्र राष्ट्रले गर्ने कर्महरू गर्ने अधिकार सम्पन्न भएको घोषणा यस दस्तावेज मार्फत गरिएको थियो। That's all with the Nepali discussion of the Declaration of Independence. Let's talk about the analysis of this essay. In a moving style, Thomas Jefferson first establishes here the causes for which the American people feel deprived of equal opportunities. He makes it clear that they have tolerated all inhuman behaviors, atrocities, injustice, unfair behavior, cruelties, ruthlessness, etc. But all in vain. The writer presents various instances of injustice and oppression under the rule of British government. So, as a final resort, he imposes this declaration with the presence of 13 United States His discussion has been written within the following subheadings. Okay, so these all men are created equal, natural rights, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, government's responsibilities, and right of the people to institute a new government. Let me discuss it here. This essay, the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, states that 13 states of the United States declared their independence from the King of Great Britain. The declaration is based on the laws of nature, so Jefferson appeals to the Supreme Court of Divine to judge the case. He also argues all men are created equal, that are all endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So this method of reasoning is deductive one. Besides this, he has also used powerful devices like balance and parallelism to make it perfect from side of mind as well as heart. So there is a kind of rhetoric, and this use of rhetoric figure of speech called parallelism is mentioned here. Jefferson begins this essay by stating the above mentioned argument that all men are created equal. We are men, therefore we have to be treated equally. He also argues that government is formed to secure unalienable rights and equality among people, and if it fails to do, then people can overthrow it. People have the right to change another government, and they can decide whether they are to be ruled by this government or not. It's up to them. If it fails to perform the duties of the government and in ensuring rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, people can overthrow it. But the King of Great Britain, George III, is failed to do so. Therefore, they can destroy the government. That is how Jefferson argues deductively. In other words, Jefferson reaches to the conclusion from his argument that he has deduced from examples to the conclusion. In this essay ahead, Jefferson lists out 27 causes that include the abuses and usurpations imposed by the King of Britain. Jefferson has included wrong acts done by the government. He argues that even if people requested to reform the government about the political, but it remained indifferent. Some of the causes that he mentions are: the king has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance. He has dissolved representatives' houses repeatedly for opposing with many firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and amount and payment of their salaries. In this way, he gives a long list of wrong deeds done by the King of Great Britain. All the causes that he cites serve as evidence of argumentation, and they are also serious that they contribute to move the audience. This is how Jefferson appeals the mind as well as heart to make the argument more effective and powerful. In the early part of the essay, Jefferson raises the possible objection and refutes it. He argues that it is not good to dissolve long established government. He immediately refutes it by arguing that but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces are designed to reduce them, that is people, under despotism, it is their duty to throw such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Jefferson also appeals to authority that can be seen as right appealing. While talking about laws, he appeals to laws of nature. and nature's God. Besides this, he begins the essay by referring to God and ends with the same. Similarly, periodic sentences where balance and parallel constructions are also the notable rhetoric from the part of the techniques used by Thomas Jefferson here. His deductive reasoning also sounds very relevant. We examine it from the point of view of context. So it's a very important document in the history of America and in the history of the world as well. So that's the end of today's discussion. I'm sure you got the points. If you have any queries, don't forget to put your ideas in my comment box. I shall be back with other important videos. Till then, have a nice time.